the exorcism that went too far. The night was split open by screams. In a stone farmhouse on the edge of a nameless village, the walls shook with the force of something unseen. Candles guttered and spat wax, though no wind stirred the air. Latin chants echoed in broken rhythm, the voice of a priest cracking beneath the weight of the words. A girl, no older than 17, sat bound to a wooden chair. The ropes cut into her wrists, and her body arched with impossible strength. Her eyes rolled white, her voice a guttural roar that belonged to no human throat. Every syllable mocked the prayers thrown against it. Non exi, the priest tried, but his words drowned in the sound of splintering wood. The farmhouse beams bent and groaned, dust falling from the rafters. The smell of iron filled the air, thick and metallic, like a slaughterhouse. Someone whispered that blood was dripping from the ceiling, but when they looked, it was true. Red drops fell onto the priest's hands, soaking the pages of his Bible. He faltered. His candle went out. The room was thrown into shadow, and then silence. The girl lay still, her chest rising once, twice, before her body slumped. The priest lowered his hands. His lips trembled. He whispered one final line, not in Latin, but in his own tongue. Words no one else heard, except the recorder placed in the corner of the room. That tape was later sealed inside a Vatican archive. The file was stamped. Case number 1047, sealed by order of the Holy Office. The report begins plainly, almost clinical. Subject: female, 17 years of age. Exhibits signs of advanced possession. The file lists the symptoms in careful handwriting. Sudden convulsions without seizure history. Speaking in Latin, Greek, and Aramaic, languages she had never learned. Deep scratches appearing overnight across her chest and back. An aversion not only to crucifixes, but to the very sound of prayers whispered from another room. Yet even within these pages, contradictions spill through. One witness, a local physician, insisted the girl's wounds were self-inflicted. He claimed to have seen her hands bend at grotesque angles, clawing at her own spine. Another villager swore that the marks were burned into her flesh by unseen hands, glowing like iron pressed against skin. The case notes grow darker. Each night, the priest recorded his sessions, his voice trembling as he described what the others would not. Shackles, he wrote, not to hold her down, but to keep something else from leaving. That line is underlined in red ink. The following page is missing, torn from the binding. Later entries mention unnatural phenomena: blood weeping from stone walls, livestock found disemboweled in their pens, a child in the village struck mute after glimpsing the farmhouse window. The contradictions only deepen. Some files claim the girl died during the ritual. Others state she survived, transported to a monastery where she lived in silence. At the bottom of one heavily censored page, a single note remains, scrawled in the margin. Not expelled, transferred. The deeper the file goes, the less it resembles a medical record, and the more it reads like a war report. A week after the final ritual, Vatican officials arrived in the village. Their names are redacted, but their orders are not. Every recording, every diary, every scrap of testimony was seized. Witnesses were sworn to silence or reassigned, far from home. The physician who spoke of self-inflicted wounds left abruptly for Rome. He was never seen again. The villagers who claimed to hear voices in their fields vanished within months, their homes abandoned, doors left swinging open. In one fragment, barely legible under heavy ink, the priest himself, writes of being summoned to Rome. He speaks of interrogation, not confession. He was asked not about the girl, but about the entity, its voice, its intelligence, its threats. The final line in his handwriting is short, unfinished. It promised them something in exchange. The next page is scorched black. Other documents are stranger still. An invoice for iron chains, forged to contain rather than restrain. An order to a stonemason, build a vault beneath the farmhouse. A note marked urgent, transfer successful. Subject relocated. No mention is made of where. What remains is a chilling stamp that closes the file. Case closed, by authority of the Holy Office. But one annotation slips through, written years later in a different hand, scrawled across the back of the dossier in faded ink. This was no exorcism, it was containment. Decades later, the farmhouse was abandoned, its windows boarded, its fields left to rot. Yet when researchers returned in the 1970s, they found the cellar door pried open. Inside, the walls were scarred, not with scratches, but with words. Latin phrases carved from the inside, gouged into stone as if by steel. Ego sum ligatus. I am bound. The shackles remained, rusted and broken. But the room did not feel empty. Villagers claimed that animals would not cross the threshold. One historian who spent a single night inside wrote in his diary that he awoke to the sound of someone breathing just behind his ear. And then, silence. The Vatican records offer one final piece. In 1999, the sealed case file was reopened. A handwritten confession, once hidden, was rediscovered, written by the priest himself in his final days. I did not cast it out. I could not. The rites failed. Every prayer turned back upon me. I bound it instead, as we were instructed, not to the girl, but to the house. And when even the house cracked, they ordered it moved. The confession ends abruptly, but the next page, signed by a Vatican official, offers the destination. Transferred to the subterranean beneath the Lateran, Vault 13, a place beneath Rome, a vault known only to the Holy Office. The last line in the file is stamped, not written. Still sealed, do not unbind. And so the story of a failed exorcism becomes something darker. Not salvation, not victory, but imprisonment. A secret kept beneath the oldest church in Christendom. And if the files are true, then somewhere beneath the streets of Rome, the thing they tried to cast out is still waiting, still bound, still listening. LitReads now has channel memberships. If you'd like to support the channel and unlock exclusive perks, like loyalty badges and a place among the acknowledged, you can join the Reader's Circle below. It's a small way to help keep the library doors open, links in the description.